Hello, and welcome to our weekly news roundup. We've got a packed show for you today, covering the latest in technology, global economics, environmental breakthroughs, and a heartwarming story that's sure to bring a smile to your face. So, let's dive right in. First up, in the world of tech, a major breakthrough has just been announced in the field of artificial intelligence. Researchers at a leading university have developed a new AI model that can predict complex weather patterns with unprecedented accuracy, weeks in advance. This could be a game changer for agriculture, disaster preparedness, and even renewable energy sectors that rely on weather forecasts. The system, named Aura, analyzes vast amounts of atmospheric data, ocean currents, and historical patterns to generate its predictions. Early trials have shown it to be over 30% more accurate than current leading models. Experts believe this technology could save billions of dollars annually by preventing weather-related damages and optimizing supply chains. The research team is now working to make the platform accessible to national weather services around the globe within the next 2 years. We'll be keeping a close eye on this development. Shifting gears to the global economy, recent figures show a surprising trend in international trade. Despite ongoing geopolitical tensions, several emerging markets have reported record-high export growth in the last quarter. Countries in Southeast Asia and Latin America, in particular, are seeing a surge in demand for their manufactured goods and raw materials. Economists attribute this resilience to a diversification of supply chains and new trade agreements that have opened up previously untapped markets. This growth is not only boosting national economies, but is also creating thousands of new jobs. However, analysts caution that inflation remains a key concern. Central banks are walking a tightrope, trying to control rising prices without stifling economic expansion. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether this positive trend can be sustained. Now for some exciting news on the environmental front. A team of marine biologists has discovered a new massive coral reef system off the coast of an uncharted island in the Pacific. Spanning over 500 square kilometers, the reef is teeming with vibrant marine life, including several species previously unknown to science. What makes this discovery even more remarkable is the reef's incredible resilience to rising sea temperatures, a phenomenon that has caused widespread coral bleaching elsewhere. Scientists are now studying the unique genetic makeup of these corals, hoping to unlock the secrets to their hardiness. This could provide vital clues for conservation efforts worldwide, potentially helping us restore damaged reefs and protect ocean biodiversity for future generations. The discovery has been hailed as a beacon of hope for our planet's oceans. In other news, a major step forward for space exploration was taken this week. A private aerospace company successfully launched and landed its new heavy-lift rocket, a vehicle designed to carry astronauts and cargo to the Moon and eventually Mars. The uncrewed test flight was flawless from liftoff to the pinpoint landing of its reusable booster. This milestone paves the way for the first crewed mission on this new vehicle, scheduled for early next year. The mission aims to put humans back on the lunar surface for the first time in over 50 years. This renewed push for lunar exploration is part of a broader international effort to establish a sustainable human presence beyond Earth, opening up new frontiers for scientific research and discovery. On the health front, a landmark study published this week highlights the profound benefits of community-based wellness programs. The decade-long study followed participants in several cities who engaged in group activities like walking clubs, community gardening, and local cooking classes. The results were striking. Participants not only showed significant improvements in physical health markers like blood pressure and cholesterol, but also reported much lower levels of stress and a stronger sense of social connection. The findings underscore the importance of social bonds for overall well-being. Public health officials are now looking at these results to design more effective, community-focused health initiatives that are both accessible and enjoyable. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions, like taking a walk with a neighbor, can have the biggest impact on our health. And now for a story that's capturing hearts around the world. In a small town in the countryside, a local librarian started a Reading to Shelter Pets program to help shy and anxious animals get more comfortable with people. The program invites children to come to the local animal shelter and read their favorite books aloud to the cats and dogs. The effect has been magical. Not only has it helped the children improve their reading skills and confidence, but the shelter has also seen a dramatic change in the animals. The once timid pets have become more sociable and relaxed, leading to a significant increase in adoptions. The sound of children's voices reading stories has filled the shelter with a sense of calm and joy. The program has been so successful that other shelters across the country are now looking to replicate it. It is a beautiful example of how a simple act of kindness can create a positive ripple effect benefiting both humans and animals alike. Back to international affairs, diplomats from over 100 nations gathered this week for a summit focused on global food security. With supply chains still recovering and climate change impacting harvests, the conference aimed to find collaborative solutions. Key agreements were reached on sharing agricultural technology, reducing food waste, and establishing an emergency food reserve for nations facing acute shortages. A major focus was on empowering small-scale farmers who produce a significant portion of the world's food but often lack access to resources and modern techniques. Several initiatives were launched to provide them with better seeds, irrigation tools, and access to markets. The spirit of cooperation at the summit was a positive sign, showing a global commitment to ensuring everyone has access to safe and nutritious food. In the world of arts and culture, a long-lost painting by a celebrated 19th century artist has been discovered in the attic of a family home. The painting, which had been missing for over a century, was found wrapped in an old blanket by the grandchildren of the original owner. Art historians have authenticated the piece, calling it a masterpiece from the artist's most creative period. The family had no idea of its value, believing it to be a simple family heirloom. The painting is now set to be displayed at a national museum before it goes up for auction, where it's expected to fetch a record-breaking price. The discovery has sent ripples of excitement through the art world, with many hoping it could lead to more lost treasures being found. Finally, we close with an update on an inspiring community project. A group of teenagers has spent the last 6 months transforming a neglected urban lot into a thriving community park. Armed with shovels, seeds, and a lot of determination, they cleared debris, planted trees and flowers, and built benches from recycled materials. The space, which was once an eyesore, is now a beautiful green oasis where residents can relax and connect with nature. The project was entirely youth-led, with the students securing small grants and donations from local businesses. Their initiative has not only beautified their neighborhood, but has also inspired a sense of pride and ownership among residents. The city's mayor praised their efforts, calling them role models for active citizenship. That's all the time we have for this week's news report. We've seen incredible innovation, hopeful discoveries, and the power of community action. It's a reminder that even in a complex world, there's always progress and positivity to be found. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great week ahead, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates. See you next time. While the world focuses on missile strikes and military deployments, another transformation is quietly unfolding that could have consequences far beyond the battlefield. One of the most important shipping routes on the planet is beginning to look unusually empty. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the rest of the global ocean system, normally carries enormous volumes of energy shipments every single day. Oil tankers and cargo vessels move continuously through this corridor, delivering fuel that powers industries, transportation networks, and entire economies across the globe. But recent satellite imagery shows something that analysts rarely see. Large sections of the waterway are suddenly missing the dense traffic patterns that once defined it. Shipping companies, insurance providers, and vessel captains are all evaluating the same risk calculation. If missiles and drones are already being launched across the region, any large vessel traveling through those waters could potentially become collateral damage. Insurance premiums for ships entering the Gulf have already begun rising dramatically, and some companies are choosing to delay or reroute shipments entirely until the security situation becomes clearer. The economic implications of that hesitation could spread rapidly across the global economy. Countries far removed from the political tensions in the Middle East are now watching developments with growing concern. Nations such as Japan, South Korea, and several European economies depend heavily on energy imports that pass directly through the Strait of Hormuz. When uncertainty disrupts the flow of those shipments, energy markets react almost instantly. Oil prices begin fluctuating, transportation costs increase, and the ripple effects eventually reach industries that rely on stable fuel supplies to operate efficiently. Financial markets have always been sensitive to geopolitical instability, but this particular conflict carries unique implications because it involves one of the most critical energy corridors in the world. Even temporary disruptions in that region can push prices higher and introduce volatility into global supply chains. When businesses face unpredictable energy costs, those expenses often translate into higher prices for consumers across many sectors of the economy. At the same time, governments are asking a larger strategic question about what the ultimate objective of this escalating confrontation actually is. Public explanations often emphasize security concerns related to nuclear development or regional stability. However, analysts studying the pattern of military strikes notice that many targets extend far beyond nuclear facilities. Infrastructure, leadership networks, and economic resources have all been involved in recent attacks. That broader pattern raises questions about whether the goals of the conflict might involve deeper political transformations. Some officials have openly suggested that replacing Iran's current leadership with a more cooperative government could fundamentally reshape the balance of power in the region. The theory follows a model used in other geopolitical strategies. Remove the existing regime, install leadership aligned with Western economic interests, and eventually restore normal trade relations while gaining access to valuable energy resources. Yet the practical challenges of achieving that outcome are enormous. Iran is a country of roughly 90 million people, with a long history of adapting to external pressure. For decades, it has faced economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and periodic military confrontations. Despite those obstacles, its institutions continue functioning, and its population has developed ways to operate within restricted economic conditions. Sanctions that might cripple many nations have instead encouraged Iran to develop alternative trade relationships and domestic industries capable of sustaining its economy. The expectation that economic pressure alone would quickly collapse the system has repeatedly proven incorrect. Instead, the country has demonstrated a degree of resilience that complicates strategies based purely on financial isolation. Meanwhile, the military dimension of the conflict continues evolving as new technologies enter the battlefield. Iran has invested heavily in missile systems designed to challenge traditional defensive networks. Hypersonic weapons, if deployed as described by some reports, travel at speeds and trajectories that make interception extremely difficult using current missile defense technologies. Even advanced systems can struggle to respond effectively when such weapons are launched in coordinated waves alongside drones and other projectiles. That technological shift forces military planners to reconsider how safe large assets such as aircraft carriers or fixed bases truly are when operating within range of these systems. When weapons capable of traveling at extremely high speeds are present in the region, response times become shorter and defensive options become more limited. Analysts studying possible outcomes often describe three primary paths that conflicts like this can follow. The first involves forcing political change through overwhelming military and economic pressure. However, the evidence so far suggests that Iran-AS internal structure has not fractured despite years of sanctions and recent military escalation. The second path focuses on degrading military capability to the point where one side can no longer continue fighting effectively. Yet recent developments indicate that Iran still possesses advanced weapon systems capable of launching significant operations across the region. The third path involves diplomacy and negotiated agreements designed to reduce tensions and establish new security arrangements. Historically, such negotiations require compromises from multiple parties, including adjustments to military deployments and guarantees about future behavior. Achieving those agreements becomes extremely difficult when political rhetoric has framed the conflict in absolute terms where compromise appears politically unacceptable. For the countries of the Gulf region, the situation presents a delicate dilemma. Many of them host foreign military bases that have long served as a central element of their security strategy. Those installations are meant to deter threats and reassure allies, but during periods of escalation, those same bases can become potential targets. Governments must balance the benefits of maintaining strong alliances with the risks of becoming directly entangled in conflicts between larger powers. Behind the scenes, diplomatic conversations are increasing as leaders attempt to prepare for multiple possible outcomes. Investment reviews, emergency consultations, and quiet negotiations are all taking place as governments consider how the regional security environment might change in the coming months. At the center of these calculations are the thousands of troops, aircraft, and naval vessels now positioned throughout the Gulf. The presence of multiple carrier groups, air bases, and missile systems creates both deterrence and danger at the same time. Each new deployment signals strength, yet also increases the stakes if a direct confrontation occurs. For ordinary civilians living in the region, the geopolitical strategies discussed by world leaders translate into very immediate realities. Emergency alerts appear on phones, air defense sirens echo through cities. Flights are rerouted, and daily routines change as people adjust to an environment shaped by uncertainty. The next stage of this conflict may depend on whether decision-makers recognize the limits of military escalation before the situation reaches a point where diplomacy becomes impossible. History shows that wars rarely follow the plans designed by the leaders who initiate them. Unexpected events, technological surprises, and economic pressures often reshape the battlefield faster than strategies can adapt. Right now, the world is watching a critical moment unfold. A defense system struggling to maintain early warnings, multiple nations exchanging strikes across a widening theater, global trade routes beginning to feel the pressure of instability, and powerful governments continuing to insist that victory is within reach even as the situation grows more complicated. What happens next will not only shape the future of the Middle East, but could influence global politics and financial markets for decades to come. The decisions being made today may determine whether this conflict stabilizes, escalates further, or transforms the international order in ways few people currently expect.